Since his recent divorce, Jody's best friend Rich had been coming over for dinner almost every Friday, staying for drinks afterwards. The first few times were awkward, as Summer, Jody's wife of nearly 10 years, had been quite good friends with Rich's ex until she left him with the children. Although both insisted there had been no infidelity in the marriage, Heather was now living in Chicago with another man just 4 months after the divorce. Jody had 2 sons, 9 and 6, and he could only imagine what it was like for them and for Rich, who had to wait months to see his children. It was a particularly hot summer day, so Jody suggested they have a beer outside in the hot tub after the boys went to bed. Rich was about the same height, so he lent him his swim trunks. Jody was surprised that Summer decided to join them. She came out in a tiny bikini that accentuated her 30-year-old body, which she had worked so hard on. Her legs and stomach were very toned, and her size 3 breasts were almost completely firm. Summer held a box of vodka in her hands and did a little pirouette, which made Rich whistle before she settled into the hot tub between the 2 men, next to Jody. Jody didn't like Rich's look and whistle, but he decided to ignore it. He was his friend, and yes, Summer did look fantastic in that halter-neck swimsuit. After a few beers, he forgot about his momentary jealousy, and the 3 of them had a good time enjoying their drinks in the hot tub. Summer started teasing Rich, saying that now that he was single again, he must be getting a lot of sex. Jody knew that Summer, although wild in bed, was quite conservative outside of it. She wouldn't talk like that if she wasn't drunk. Jody thought that maybe it was time for both of them to go to bed because the boys had football in the morning. "It's late," Jody said. "Okay, I'll finish my drink and go," Summer said. There were only a few sips left in her box. "I'll finish my beer." Rich opened a new bottle. "Then I'll go." "I'm going to the bathroom. Good night, Rich." Jody got up, wiped his hands, and went into the house. When he was done in the bathroom, he went to the living room, expecting to see the other 2 there. When they weren't there, he went outside. Rich and Summer were sitting much closer to each other. They didn't have glasses in their hands. Rich was smiling slightly, and Summer looked awkward, almost guilty. "Time to go, I guess," Rich said, turning away from Jody to stand up and wrap the towel around his waist. "Yeah, I'll rest a little longer, then join you," Summer said, not looking Jody in the eye. "Rich will leave on his own," Jody said. "I'll stay with you." "No," Summer replied quickly. "Don't. Go get ready for bed. I'll join you soon. Anyway, it would be rude not to see Rich out." Jody entered the house, and Rich was already almost out the door. "Bye, buddy. Talk to you later," he said as he left. Jody took a few deep breaths and tried to relax while waiting for Summer. He had a vivid imagination, the imagination of a graphic designer, so what he imagined might not match reality. Almost 10 minutes passed before Summer slowly entered the house, wrapped tightly in a towel, and nearly jumped when she saw Jody waiting for her by the bathroom. "Damn, Joe, you scared me," Summer said nervously. After 10 years of living together, Jody knew when his wife was hiding something or feeling guilty. "You don't look relaxed," Jody said coldly. "You scared me." "Go to bed. I'll be right there," Summer said. "Maybe I'll come to bed naked." Jody pulled the towel. Summer pushed his hand away. "Not now, silly. First I'm going to pee and freshen up." "Why do you need to do that? What happened?" She looked very nervous. "Nothing happened. What's wrong with you today?" "Bullshit," Jody said, snatching the towel and discovering that Summer wasn't wearing any underwear. Jody said nothing, just turned and walked into the bedroom. "Nothing happened, I swear," Summer said, already crying. Jody ignored her, grabbed his suitcase, and quickly stuffed it with clothes for about a week. "Please, Joe, I'll tell you everything." "Don't do this," Summer begged, as he walked past her and out of the room. 2 weeks later, Jody was working in his office when his department's administrative assistant called him. "Mr. Selk, it's your wife." "Mandy, tell her I don't want to talk and hang up." Jody said irritably. No, she's here and refuses to leave until she sees you. Should I call security? In the background, he could hear Summer's sharp, angry voice. Yes, call them. If that's what he wants. Jody sighed. No, let her in. Make sure we're not disturbed. Actually, I'm taking the day off. Tell her I'll meet her at the cafe downstairs. Tell her I promise, okay? He heard the muffled conversation of two angry women, and then, Okay, Mrs. Selk will wait for you there. I left a note saying you were out. Thanks, Mandy. Sorry to drag you into this. Summer looked terrible. At least her face did. With bags under her red eyes, she was pale from the lack of makeup. It wasn't Summer at all. Below the neck, she looked stunning as always in a tank top and cropped shorts. How could you? Summer hissed. Leave without saying a word, without calling, without writing where you were. You know how upset the boys are? They missed 3 days of school, and I really don't know what to tell them. Tell them their mom got drunk and acted like a slut, Jody said, shrugging. That's not fair, and you know it, Summer said, her eyes filling with tears. If you hadn't left in such a rage, I would have told you everything. Considering you've already told a bunch of lies, Jody replied coldly. Why should I believe you? I caught you with your pants down, literally. Even if nothing happened, how do I know it was only because I interrupted? And I know I interrupted. You think I don't know your bikini was taken off and thrown away? The time you spent relaxing was spent looking for it so I wouldn't suspect anything? So I'm sorry if I don't believe it was innocent. Am I wrong? Summer lowered her eyes. It just happened. I was drunk, and he started splashing me. I splashed him back. Then he started tickling me, just on the side. The next thing I remember, we were kissing. I didn't touch him and pushed him away when I came to my senses. I told him it couldn't be like that. He said not yet. And then you walked in. She wiped her eyes. Yes, it shouldn't have come to that. I should have said something right away, but I was ashamed. And he's been your friend longer than you've known me. I thought that if I brought it up, we would either break up or worse, you would take his side. Either way, you would have hated me. That's the damn truth. Ask him if you want. Now please come home. The boys need their father. They're so upset right now, I'm afraid they're going to need a therapist. Trying to make me feel guilty about the boys isn't going to fix anything, Jody said angrily. I'm not trying to make you feel guilty, Summer replied angrily. You have a responsibility as a father, and you need to take care of them. Overreacting to something that didn't really happen isn't helping them at all. Jody paused, then said, I think I need to tell you something. Last weekend I went out drinking. Remember Lois? Well, I got really drunk and we kissed in her car. You're a bastard, Summer spat out and left without letting Jody say a word. After she left, he froze for a moment, then sighed and turned on his phone, which had 50 unread messages, mostly from Summer, but a few from Rich. He texted his wife. Listen, I lied. Nothing happened. I stayed at Mark's. He put me up in his guest room while his youngest was away at college. There was no reply for 10 minutes, and Jody decided he could get back to work. He worked for about half an hour when he got a reply. Why did you make that up? You know how much that hurt me? Jody snorted and replied, Yes, I know exactly how much. Summer replied, I didn't deserve that. I can't believe you could be so cruel. Jody breathed heavily in frustration as he typed, Well, you're a hypocrite if you still claim nothing happened. Please don't bother me until you get your head out of your ass or find a lawyer. When Friday evening arrived, Jody decided to actually go out for a drink and took a taxi because he planned to return home intoxicated. After 3 beers, he was surprised to see Rich waving at him with a smile and walking toward him. Hey, buddy, we need to talk, Rich said, still smiling. In over 20 years of friendship, I'll give you 20 seconds to get away from me before I beat the shit out of you, Jody said, glaring at him. Like I wrote to you, I'm really sorry about how things turned out, but it's for the best. Jody laughed coldly. Sure, I believe you. Like how my best friend almost slept with my wife while I was in the next room is for the best? Because now you know the truth, Rich said, shrugging. Sammer, Heather, women like that are all the same. They think that just because they're attractive, they can be dumped whenever they feel like it. We lied to protect the kids. Heather had been sleeping with that guy for months, and Summer had been flirting with me for a long time. Maybe it was the alcohol, maybe it wasn't, but that night she decided to make the first move. She took off her underwear, threw it on my head, and motioned for me to come closer. Yes, I should have left. But damn, she's super sexy, and I'm a man. You don't need someone like that in your life. At least now you know. Oh, you did me a favor by fondling my wife? Jody asked coldly. No, but I'll do you a favor tomorrow night, Rich said. Summer invited me over, and we're going to have sex. Rich saw Jody raise her hand to hit him and raised his hand in a defensive gesture. Hey, just listen to me, okay? Now you know what kind of woman she is. Don't tell me you're thinking about taking her back. When we do this tomorrow, I'll get proof. Photos or something. I'll even testify at your divorce if you need me to. I'll help you get the evidence of infidelity that I didn't have in my divorce so you don't end up in the same situation I did. I'm telling you, I'm sure I'm not the only one sleeping with her, but I'm the only one willing to provide proof. Time's up. Get out, Jody said, turning away. Rich sighed. Fine, whatever you want. Joe, you know I love you like a brother. One day you'll thank me. Bitches like Heather and Summer aren't worth the effort. You're better off alone so you can choose. Jody couldn't forget what Rich had said to him when he finally returned to Mark. It was great that Mark and his wife Rochelle had gone away for a week's vacation because he needed to be alone. It was nice to hear Rochelle's opinion, who, although she urged him to talk to Summer and the boys, agreed that he was right to be angry. The only person who didn't seem to take Summer's actions seriously was Summer herself. Now Rich was planning to seduce her. Or was he waiting for her to seduce him? The two people he trusted most in the world had given him two different versions of what had happened. Who should he believe? Rich's story was closer to what he imagined, and he admits that it was cheating. But Jody was really starting to miss his children and wanted to live with Summer no matter what. He found it hard to believe that Rich was selfless in offering to sleep with Summer. He had always been attracted to her, just as Jody found Heather attractive. But he didn't think about doing anything with her again, even if she climbed into his bed naked. Jody couldn't do that to Summer or Rich. He decided to just go to bed and think it over. Rich woke up around 9 and called Summer from Mark's home phone. Hello? Summer answered wearily. Hi, it's me, Jody said calmly. Oh yeah, Summer replied irritably. She was clearly still angry with him, even though she was the one at fault. Yeah, well, Jody said sharply, annoyed by her tone, I just want to say that you can sleep with Rich tonight and then we'll break up. I'll find a lawyer. Is that what you want? Summer asked in the same tone. Yes. So you're refusing to come over tonight and talk like adults, and you want a divorce. Summer sounded as if she was about to cry. Well, I can sleep with him if he comes over. I've already been punished. What do you mean you refuse to talk tonight? Jody asked. You know damn well what I mean. Rich called me last night and gave me your message. Bye. Summer hung up. Wait, Jody said too late. He called her back, but she didn't answer. Cursing, he called again and again until... Just file for divorce. I'm tired of these games, Summer said between sobs. Summer, please wait. Tell me what message. I didn't ask Rich to tell you anything. Really? You didn't tell him that we could both go to hell when he told you that I wanted the three of us to sit down and talk about this? Summer asked, sarcastically. Actually, no, Jody replied angrily. I didn't say anything because I wasn't asked to. I was told I should file for divorce because you had your eye on my best friend and invited him over for sex tonight. And you believed him? You believed him that I turned down a date tonight? What the hell is going on between you two? Tell me the truth or I'm filing for divorce. I told you the truth. I was drunk and things got out of hand, but I stopped, Summer sobbed. And you were right. It was awful, and I'm so sorry. But I would never sleep with Rich, never. I tried to convince myself that it didn't matter, but you were right. And I'm so sorry. Please come home, Jody. I love you and I want to forget about this. I need you and the boys. Please. Jody sighed. We'll work this out, but I need some time to think, okay? Yes. Just don't take too long. Jody paced around the room for about 10 minutes, trying to clear his head, but there was too much anger in his mind. Finally, he picked up his cell phone and dialed a number. When the answering machine picked up, he said, Rich, it's only because of our long friendship that I'm not driving over there to kick your ass. I talked to Summer and I know what you were trying to do. I don't care if you have that chip because of your failed marriage. That doesn't give you the right to ruin mine. Stay away from my wife. If you even come near her and smile at her in public, I'll beat you so badly that I'll probably end up in jail. He threw the phone on the couch and collapsed on top of it, hoping he would feel better. But instead he felt even worse. Of course, Summer wasn't completely innocent, but Rich was a stalker, and he should have realized that from the start. His cell phone rang, and he saw that it was Rich. Hello, Jody replied coldly. You're a stupid son of a bitch. Don't you understand what I'm saving you from? Rich said. If it wasn't me, it would have been someone else. Open your fucking eyes and look at it. Don't feed me that crap. She was drunk, and you took advantage of the situation. The fact is, you tried to sleep with my wife, and that has nothing to do with me, so stop playing the righteous one. She's a cheater, and you know it. You just don't have the guts to do anything about it. Besides, you owe me a chance to make things right. Rich emphasized the last 3 words. Jody was silent for a moment. What do you mean? You know exactly what I mean. Heather told me everything as another one of her wonderful parting gifts for dumping you. I know you slept with her when she was 4 months pregnant with our oldest. Don't worry, I'm not mad at you. She's such a sexy woman that any man would have done the same thing if he'd had the chance. It's her fault, just like what happened in the hot tub was Summer's fault. I'm sorry, that was a long time ago, but it has nothing to do with... Bullshit. You slept with my wife, now I'm going to sleep with yours, and she'll want it too. Then you'll finally understand what these women are like. Rich fell silent and grinned. Let's do this. I'll tell Summer what happened if you don't let me prove to you what a slut she really is. Let's see how she reacts when she hears it. Go ahead, tell her, Jody said viciously. I keep my word. As far as I'm concerned, we're no longer friends. Yeah, well, you slept with my wife first, you bastard. So get lost. When you catch her cheating on you, come back and apologize. Rich hung up. Jody couldn't believe that after all these years, one mistake could come back to haunt him like this. He had almost forgotten about it. At least he had tried very hard to. He knew Rich wasn't bluffing, so he immediately called Summer. Joe? Summer, listen, I'm on my way home, but we need to talk. Somewhere alone, without the kids, please. Okay. Her voice was calm, so Jody decided she didn't know yet. I'll try to take the boys to Karen's so they can play. We were going to take them there anyway to talk tonight. I'll text you when you can come home. Jody, I love you. I love you too, Jody said and sighed, wondering how she would react when Rich told her everything. He was going to convince her to sleep with him. Jody returned home about 2 hours later. He took his suitcase out of the car but left it there just in case things didn't go according to plan. He knocked on the door, feeling foolish, but Summer answered, Come in. She looked like she had been crying, her eyes red and swollen, but she seemed calm. In a tank top and cropped shorts, Summer looked very sexy with her toned legs. She really was his best friend and the sweetest person he knew. How could he have thought about breaking up with her, even if his actions before the wedding might have already done so? Hi, Joe. You look like you haven't eaten in days, Summer said calmly, sitting down on a chair in the dining room. Jody sat down across from her. You look amazing, as always. You're lying, but I'll take that lie, Summer said with a brief smile. Rich told you, Jody said flatly. Summer nodded. He texted me almost right after you called. Listen, I can't tell you how, Jody began, but Summer raised her hand to stop him. Jody, I knew, she said calmly. Heather told me a couple of days after it happened. When we were at that party with the loud, bad rap music, she pulled me aside and told me. That's why I said I felt sick and wanted to go home. I thought it was an excuse to get away from the music and that annoying guy who was hitting on all of you. I was ready to punch him. Summer smiled weakly. I probably would have, but I didn't. The next week, I cried in the bathroom for hours, not knowing what to do. Why didn't you tell me? Not a word? Summer shrugged. We weren't married yet. We weren't even engaged. But we were already living together. I felt like shit for what I had done, and it was eating me up inside. Summer, I didn't tell you because I knew it would hurt you. I didn't want that. A tear appeared in Summer's eye. I know. I saw how much it hurt you. I knew you were sorry, and Heather told me how she got you drunk the night before. She planned it all because Rich was cheating on her. Instead of leaving him, she decided to get revenge, and you became her target. She felt really bad about it afterward, and it took me a long time to forgive her. Have you ever thought about getting revenge? Yes, but the most I ever did was kiss Marvin with tongue at a Christmas party at work when he grabbed my ass. I felt so guilty. I knew I should just forgive and forget. Believe me, I didn't trust you for a long time. That's why it took me a few days to accept your offer. I kept an eye on you, asked my friends to keep an eye on you, but in the end, I was completely convinced that it was a one-time mistake and would never happen again. Until... She wiped her eyes. You told me about Lois, and for a moment I thought that maybe you had been cheating on me all this time. So you didn't think what happened in the hot tub was serious? Because of what Heather and I did? Summer nodded. I felt terrible and cried for hours after you left. I still feel guilty, but you were having sex and I wasn't. If I could forgive you for that, then I was angry that you were willing to break up with me over a 10-second mistake. That's all it was. We were just playing around, a little drunk, and I was shocked when he kissed me, and I kissed him back. Jody shook his head. No, it's nobody's fault. Rich wanted you to get caught, I'm sure. He wanted me to catch you with your pants down. He's so mean, he probably needed to prove that you were as bad as Heather. And he's wanted me for years, I'm sure. I responded to his flirting, but only because I thought he knew I would never do anything like that, and I wouldn't have. Summer reached out and grabbed Jody's hand. The only way he could have slept with me tonight was if he raped me. I still regret what happened, but your absence won't make things better. It's only because of you, your love, that I was able to survive what you did. Please give me a chance to do the same for you. I'll prove that I love you, and nothing like this will ever happen again. Jody nodded. I'm so sorry about Heather. You were right, what I did compared to you. Summer shook her head. No, I was wrong. What I let happen was bad enough. It probably hurt you as much as you hurt me all these years. As soon as I understood why you told the story about Lois, I understood everything. As I said, we weren't married then. I was much more mature than you. I should have realized that and stopped him as soon as he started hitting on me. You were wrong not to say anything to the children for several weeks. That's what angers me the most. Jody hung his head. You're right. I should have handled it better, but I think you understand how I felt. Especially because I imagined it to be worse than it really was. I owe both boys a lot of time. What about us? Summer asked, wiping her eyes. My things are in the car. I'm going home, Jody said, pointing to the door. Yes, but that doesn't mean everything is fine. We've been fighting for 3 weeks, almost a month. You can't just snap your fingers and expect everything to be the way it was before, Summer said. I'm sure you still have feelings for what I did, and that's going to affect our relationship. First of all, I'm sorry, but I don't want Rich ever coming in this house or in the same room as me after what he did. I don't consider Rich a friend anymore. I'm sure he feels the same way about me. I think he only came here to settle the score after Heather told him about us." Jody shrugged. "Maybe counseling would help." "Yes, it helped me a lot," Summer agreed. "Wait, when you—" Jody shook her head. "Your personal trainer, right? It's been almost 2 years, and you've only seen him once?" Jody nodded. "Like I said, I needed time to get over what you did. Counseling helped a lot. But it was your love that made me agree to marry you. Since we both know our mistakes, I think we'll be fine." Summer looked like she was about to cry again, her lips trembling. "Can I give you a hug?" They hugged tightly, tears welling up in their eyes. "I'm so sorry. I'll never do anything like that again. It was a stupid mistake I made under the influence of alcohol," Summer said quietly. "Mine too. I'm sorry you had to go through this alone. I'm sorry I didn't stay and help you deal with it." Jody kissed her on the cheek. Jody left, but it was several days before he could sleep with her again. Images of Summer and Rich haunted him. At first, therapy was very difficult, especially for him. It opened his eyes to the fact that even before the incident with Rich, their marriage wasn't as perfect as he thought. Their relationship had become less intimate, and they needed to work on it by spending more time together. One evening, 2 months after they started counseling, they spent the evening together at a bar playing pool. They had a few drinks, flirted with each other, and had a great time. At one point, Jody excused himself and went to the restroom. When he returned, he saw Rich talking to Summer with his arm around her shoulders. He froze for a moment, then headed toward them to put an end to it. Before either of them noticed him, Summer grabbed her glass and poured its contents into his face. Rich reacted by grabbing her arm and shouting, "You teasing bitch!" The bouncer was almost there, but Jody beat him to it and, before Rich could do anything, punched him in the face. Rich let go of Summer and turned to Jody, just in time to get another punch right in the nose. The bouncer grabbed Rich but told Summer and Jody that they needed to leave too. In the car, Summer said that Rich had tried to persuade her to go with him to the women's restroom, so she decided to be less subtle. She also added how sexy it was that her man had defended her honor like that. When they got home, she practically threw herself at him as soon as they entered the house, embarrassing their babysitter, who was already getting ready to leave. That night, Jody not only had the best sex of his life, but he also felt that he had forgiven Summer and began to trust her again. 6 months later, the counseling ended, and Jody thought their marriage was better than ever. He also learned from a mutual friend that he had broken Rich's nose with 2 punches that night, but Rich hadn't sued him and had no intention of seeking revenge. Maybe their friendship meant something to him after all.